Hi, welcome to a special edition of Education Matters. This is part of our series, a dialogue with eighth grade students. In this episode, we'll be talking to some students from Mercer County. We'll be talking about their experiences during the pandemic, just overall educational experience, and a little bit about their future. I'm really looking forward to this conversation with these students. I've been doing this, and we've done this program for years, but the seventh and eighth graders, you've had a different seventh and eighth grade year compared to students in the previous years. You've had to deal with the pandemic, so it hasn't been exactly the same. So during the pandemic, what were some of the things that you found as challenging? What are some of the things that you learned maybe that you overcame? And then introduce yourselves as well. Rachel, we'll start with you.
So my name is Rachel, and I'm from Thomas Grover Middle School, and this is West Windsor, Plainsboro District. And something that was challenging during the pandemic was, I think, the social aspect and not being with teachers especially, and of course students. And I think at first I was like, I'll be fine. And then as my seventh grade year started to go along, I realized how important it was to have a teacher in the classroom and how well that worked with me.
Okay, that is important. Edgar, what about you?
I'm Edgar Alfaro. I'm from Timberley Middle School in Pennington. And the hardest thing that was most difficult during the COVID time was that there was a lot of balance, there was a lot of distractions from the current events that were going on. And there was a lot of family issues, especially in my family, with the perishing of my grandma. And unfortunately, my father caught COVID. So that was really hard managing all that and then managing that with school.
Wow. Okay, Prita, what about you?
Hi, I'm Prita Cyrus from the Lawrence Middle School. One of the hardest things is making the transition back to in-person learning and being back in a normal routine with social interaction.
Okay, that's similar to what Rachel said. And Raj, what about you?
My name is Raj Punjabi, and I'm from Community Middle School in Plainsboro Township, New Jersey. And I would say that wearing masks can sometimes be hard because last year, since most people, including me, were virtual, we didn't have to wear masks. But this year we do. And so at certain times, it's kind of hard to adjust to wearing them.
Okay, did you learn anything about that, about yourself during this time period? Anything that you overcame? I guess not. Okay. All right. So we discussed your experiences. The adults had to go through it, and it was tough on the teachers too. Was there a teacher in during your experience, doesn't have to be in the last year or so, that really made you a better student and made you your educational experience better? We'll start with you again, Rachel.
So last year, my math teacher, he was really amazing. Every single morning, he pushed for our cameras to be on. He asked us questions that were, just fun questions to talk about. And he really encouraged us to become a class, even though it was very difficult to. And he really I learned a lot from him, both academically and, just life lessons and things like that. And so he was really good. I really appreciated all that he did last year.
Great. Edgar, what about you?
My PLTW teacher, she teaches engineering. She adapted really well, and she gave us a lot of resources for online learning. Even though we had a lot of hands-on projects, we made a glider that was made out of ballast wood. We made a lot of things using cardstock, and she sent those materials to our houses, and that was really good for us.
Wow, that's cool. Rita, what about you?
My seventh grade ELA teacher, she made class really enjoyable, and she had a difficult subject to teach over Zoom, but she really made sure that we all had the materials that we needed and that we covered all of our curriculum.
Okay, and Raj, what about you?
I would say that the guidance counselors at my school, because they're very friendly and they're very open if you want to talk to them.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to ask you for advice. Say your principal or the superintendent or someone else in a leadership position came up to you and said, what do you think we could do in our middle school and for seventh and eighth graders to make the educational experience better? What would you say to them, Rachel?
I don't know. I feel like that the educational experience I'm having right now is a very positive one. And so I think it would, I don't know. Do you mind coming back to me on that?
Of course I'll do that. Edgar, what about you?
Uh, I would I would ask them to deliver more resources to the teachers so that they can provide education to us where it's more connected to the real world and where we can even like help out our community while learning.
Oh, that's a great idea. You like the hands-on learning because that's what you like about your teacher too.
I
Uh,
feel sorry. I feel that students retain that information better and it sticks with them more.
mhm. Prita, what about you?
I would ask for more dedicated time outside where we could learn and still spend time in nice weather.
Okay, you're a hardy one. I hope you'll mean that in the middle of January when it's like 2 degrees out. Raj, what about you?
I would say having a bit more interesting activities or ways to learn during the end of the day, because since we're in school, we wear our masks, so it gets harder to concentrate and people do get tired. So maybe more funner ways of learning would be better in order for us to actually learn and have fun.
And Rachel, what about you?
I agree with what Edgar said, and I think if we related activities and our lessons more to real world and I guess real time activities and events, it would be more interesting to retain. It would be easier to retain.
Great, great, great. I have heard that from other eighth graders. They like the hands-on learning. It's much more interesting to them. Um, so time is flying. Pretty soon you'll be graduating eighth grade, and then you'll be going on to high school. What are you a little nervous about maybe going to high school? What are you looking forward to in high school? And then this is a two-part question. What are your plans after high school? Have you thought about going to college? Have you thought about going to the military? I'm not sure. Or do you even have a field of study that you're leaning towards, like the sciences or English? So Edgar, we'll start with you.
So I'm looking forward to taking the higher classes that I got into, and I feel like that will help me a lot like in the future. And after high school, I'm looking forward to graduate from Princeton University, and I'm planning to join the National Hockey League, and I'm planning to have engineering as my major.
Wow, you got it all planned out, Edgar. Is there any, Edgar, I'll go back to you, just one little follow-up. Was there anything that you're a little nervous about going into high school?
Not really, because I have a lot of friends and a lot of connections in high school, and they like prepared me over the years. So I feel confident going into it.
Great, that's great. Rachel, what about you?
I'm excited because in high school we get a lot more independence and as far as like what classes we choose and just in general. Um, but I think with that independence comes a lot of responsibility, and I'm a little nervous that I'm going to overwork myself academically, and I'm also a little nervous for the social aspect because the classes are going to be mixed grades, and it's just going to be, it's like foreign right now, so it's going to be a new learning experience. But after high school, I plan to go to college, and I want to study something in probably the health science field, or I have no idea, but that's what I'm leaning towards right now.
Okay, well, you don't have to make the decision now. You have 4 years to make that decision. Prita, what about you?
I'm also nervous about having classes with other grades and people that I don't know, but I'm excited for a wider variety of classes and extracurricular activities. After high school, I want to go to college and possibly go into political science or law. And yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's pretty, you have it pretty well planned out. Raj, what about you?
So next year, I'm just mainly excited to try new things and new activities and making new friends. And I do want to go to college. and I really want to have a career, possibly in the arts department, like theater or creative design and writing.
Okay, great. So that brings us to the end of this interview. I really enjoyed talking to all of you. I think you will all be successful in whatever you choose to do, even though some of you haven't made a, Edgar's got everything all planned out, but the rest of you, you have plenty of time. I will make one suggestion. When you talk about the teachers or teachers that it really impacted you positively, when this interview comes out, please share it with them so that they know what you said. And I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did.